TJR Sim here, and as always I just like to wing these little reviews. And here is the Simetik K2 Sim Rig that I have. Check out my other video as far as my first impressions after I got it built. But this is now residing in its little home, my little corner of fun, and got it all wired up, all the transducers wired up and stuff. So just gonna go over this rig and my impressions, my final review of it. It doesn't take long to do a review on a rig. I mean, you know immediately whether it's good or not. And now time will tell as far as how long a rig will hold up to the vibrations and forces created from your your wheel and transducers and stuff. Transducers can shake a rig apart after a while. But real quick, because I know I missed it on my when I was reviewing the first thoughts of the rig, but I did forget to look at the adjustable pedal deck here, and that's just that one little screw there that you pull off on each side and sets the angle displacement. So you got it from 0 to 25 degrees. I got it at 5 right now, but pretty neat. You just unscrew 2 of those screws, one on each side, and that whole deck slides out. Makes it easy to maintain. Pull your pedals out quickly, and to clean them and oil them up and stuff if you need to. My situation is it's a pain in the butt either way, just because the way I have it here in the corner. It's not like I have a big area for me to get around it, and with this table kind of in the way, you got to be a little bit of a contortionist to get in here. So, but that certainly makes it way easier than I used to have it. So some aspects of this rig that I want to cover are the important ones. I've seen lots and lots of reviews of different rigs, and it took a while to decide which one I wanted. And going back and forth, asking a few questions from Simetik, whether I thought this rig was going to be right for me or not. One of the concerns is I didn't want to get rid of my DSD button boxes, or at least just one, to be able to fit my shifter on it and handbrake on there. So they wasn't sure that could happen. This is now the Rev 2, I believe, of the shifter mount, because I'll see it on their website as a separate purchase now. But of course it came with my rig. So yay me, it came with it. So I'm glad. It definitely is an improvement, like I showed on the first thoughts. I mean, it's hard to see here, but this thing, there you go, it's about 3/8 thick to hold your shifter. So it's very, very sturdy. I mean, when you bang gears and stuff, nothing moves. You just get the vibration of it, but you actually don't get any movement of the shifter. Now, when I've watched and I'm just jumping right into this review to the key points of things that I like. And you know what? Let me back up just a second. So, adjustability wise, like I pointed out in the first unboxing, is this can slide forward and backwards. You can change the pitch of your wheel deck. You can change the height of your wheel deck. After you get it where you want it, here's these little knobs here to change the height. I have it all the way up. I did wish that it would kind of go a little higher than it does, but it's plenty high for a desk to get my wheel up above it and perfectly underneath my monitor. So it's all good to go. After you get it secured where you want it, you can tighten it down with these screws that go across to fix it in place, keep it from ever working itself loose. So that's good that they thought of that. Of course, the bottom, the Simetik brace, not only looks sweet, lit up, and I got it in white just to project some more light around here, but it's functional as well. So keeping the everything together from side to side. I think this rig would make a great rig for adding a full motion seat, maybe like a next level seat on here, because it's built so well and it's so thick that it should be able to handle the forces that you'd get from a full motion rig, especially over time. full motion can rattle everything loose. So, but as far as the adjustments, this is considered one of the most adjustable rigs on the market, from what I've read. And they have other accessories and stuff that are coming with it. This is not endorsed from Simetik or anything like that. I did not get this for free, so I can pretty much unbiasedly say what I think about it. Well, even if I did get stuff for free, I would still give my true opinion on it. But anyway, back to the rig. I do have my Fanatec Clubsport V2 wheel on there with the angled bracket on it. Clubsport shifter and handbrake, of course, and I'm running a little Logitech keyboard over there. I bought this with the shifter mount, the right shifter mount, and the keyboard accessory. I didn't get it with the monitor stand because I'm probably gonna, well, what I have here for the monitor stand works just fine, and I don't really want the monitor to shake with the rig, especially when I'm probably going to upgrade to a direct drive wheel later this year, hopefully when the Fanatec one comes out. Anyway, things I noticed about this, getting back to the shifter itself, it doesn't move. So I've seen Next Level Racing, I've seen them all, the GT Omega, the Buttos, all these rigs, Fanatec as well, and probably the only ones RC, of course I had an RC, this one replaces an RC RS1, which was, I don't know, about 10 years ago. No, maybe not that long, about 5, no, maybe 6 years ago, that I replace, that I've had that one. So this one of course replaces it, miles ahead of that one. The RS1 of course nowadays is a lot sturdier than the one I have, but you also got to spend $1,000 for it, and that's just not in my budget. And most of the time when you start looking at entry-level sim rigs, they're not built to this quality. This is built like a high-end rig, something along the lines, I would say, like what you would get out of a motion rig like Sim Experience has, as far as not quite as thick of tubing and stuff as that, but it doesn't need to be because it's not handling motion. It wasn't designed for motion, but it was designed to handle forces of direct drive wheels, which is what I was interested in. I think the only thing you could get better as far as for the money, and actually it would cost you a little bit more, is to do the channel tubing yourself and build your own custom rig. Out of the box, this is actually pretty sweet the way it is. But I'll crawl into this seat here. Oops, excuse me. Go over the area that you're sitting in. So, okay, third time going back to the shifter. You can see that it doesn't move, and when I look at all the other reviews, I always see this shifter mount moving. See, I'm hitting this, and this thing's not even moving. I see the Thrustmasters on there, and they go grab, like with Next Level Racing, GT Omega, any of them that I've seen. This thing is, once they move it, it's still moving. And you lose that slack. It doesn't feel real to you. And here, this one feels great, feels real. So I love that. Let me see. So yeah, this one, it feels real, very solid feeling, like a real car does. When you grab a gear and shake it, when you yank on the e-brake, everything is just very sturdy. Words like well built, sturdy, rock solid, well engineered, all come to mind with this rig. I'm 6 foot tall, and I did notice, since I have it to the third placement hole down there, I have this rig as far back as I can go, and I can't really quite get all the pedals completely modulated and working well this far back when the seat's pushed all the way back. So for 6 foot tall people, it does actually work just fine. And of course, this is adjustable as well. If you wanted it a little bit closer, if you didn't have the button boxes, you could, everything can move in closer if you wanted to. But yeah, plenty of adjustment here for a 6 foot tall person. I believe you can make it work for someone taller. And from what I understand from others, is they'll actually make these rails or something longer for you for taller people. I saw in someone else's review on it. But yeah, if you're interested in the Fanatec stuff, if it all fits on here, fits here nicely, works with all kind of, you know, the latest Logitech, Fanatec, Thrustmaster setups. But the main thing I wanted to get from this rig is I wanted everything to be solid. No moving around, no excess movement, not losing my forces when I'm, you know, shifting or I'm driving. I'm not losing them through the chassis, and everything feels dampened. This actually feels solid, more like a real car when you're shifting. It feels positive. It's a positive shift. It's not when you shift forward and the mount that it's on is moving, and so you get over travel. It just doesn't feel like a toy anymore. It feels like a rock. So I like it a lot. The pedal deck, or the wheel deck here feels solid. You know, it's like upgrading your wheel almost from say a CSR Elite to a Clubsport V2. The extra forces you feel, you know, if you want to get extra forces out of your wheel, maybe look at your chassis that it's mounted to. You know, if you're mounted to a TV dinner tray, then you're going to be losing all those forces, right? So it's kind of the same because the tray is going to be moving all over the place when you're trying to hold it in place. Same thing here. If you're mounted to a TV tray, it's going to be moving back and forth. You're losing your forces. The Simetik K2 rig does a great job on transmitting those forces to you as the driver instead of losing them through the chassis, because there's no weakness in the chassis itself. Everything is so rigid that the forces are going to find the easiest way to transmit out, obviously through the rim, which then you feel. So yeah, love it for that. I'm turning down force feedback just because I'm feeling more forces than I really need to feel for it. So it's almost like buying a newer version of this wheel. I can imagine a direct drive wheel is just going to be crazy how the forces are going to be felt to me. You know, I'm going to feel the forces so much more. But anyway, this one works really good. I'm actually really impressed with everything on this. From the build quality to you know, the equipment that I'm using, being able to use the equipment that I'm using, and feeling more of the forces, which I really like. Same with the shifter, feeling the forces. It doesn't feel like a toy anymore because you have no movement in the shifter tray, as well as the wheel. Now the pedal deck is another issue, or not an issue. It's not an issue at all, actually. This pedal deck works great. It has holes cut out there for you to hook your wires up. It is a stationary pedal deck, kind of like what in a real car would be. You would adjust your seat forward and backwards to it, depending on if you're tall or short. It, of course, adjusts from 0 to 25 degrees at an angle, which I like. I got it at 5 because the Fanatec pedals are kind of adjusted a little bit forward anyway, so 5 degrees works great for me. Got a really nice logo down there too, the Simetik. I have it lit up in white just so you can kind of see it better right now. I'll change to a different color. There's red. But it kind of hides away some of the light, so let me switch it back to white here. There we go. So it'll light up in here a little bit better. But yeah, pedal deck works good. No up and down adjustment, just the angle. And like I said, you move your pedal deck. And the important thing about pedal decks is that they don't move when you're hammering on the brakes. There is no flex in this pedal deck. I don't get any flex in there, which is important because you don't lose any of your modularity when you're bleeding off the brakes going into the turns. So nothing's lost there. Pedals aren't sliding forward because they're hard mounted to it. I would suggest anybody hard mount your pedals down, so you don't have to fight with pedals moving around on you. This pedal deck is, of course, drilled for Fanatec, Thrustmaster, Logitech, and I'm not sure who else it's drilled for. Contact them to find out, or look on their website to find out for sure if your pedal deck will fit. If not, I imagine, you know, most of us sim racers are pretty handy with tools and can drill a pedal plate arrangement for your own pedals. But for the most popular ones, they're already pre-drilled for you. So yeah, you're good to go. And people that got the higher end, that's going to spend $1,000 for a pedal deck, that particular sim racer is going to be handy with a drill. But yeah, pedal deck works great, solid. It's just like everything else on this chassis is solid. Love it. Next is the keyboard tray. This little area here is the only complaint about the keyboard tray. It's sharp when you adjust your seat all the way forward in your knee. If you get too far forward, or if you're a short person, you may hit your knee here. I would rather see this off to the left there. You can see where it mounts up here, right here. Here's where it mounts, but this is the actual keyboard mount that mounts to the chassis right here. And I know it's a little hard to see because of the lighting I have here, but that's it. It would be nice if that just was off to the left more, mounted in a different arrangement, so when you slide your seat forward, there's no point of, or no, that you won't have the chance of bumping your knee against that hard piece of metal, because this thing is built so well, it doesn't give, but your knee will. So I would like to see that changed for some up releases, just something for Simetik to look at for us tall or short people. As far as the keyboard tray goes itself, it's not very wide, which is fine. I have a small keyboard, but imagine if you have something like a Razer Deathadder that's, you know, quite wide, it would be hanging off, and you might not like it because you're hitting the keys and the keyboard want to move up on you. For sim racing purposes, which is really what this is for, works great. I have this Logitech wireless keyboard, Bluetooth keyboard. This little screw adjustment here, as you can see, screws in here. Works fine. You can, you know, obviously if you have a taller keyboard, you can move this up, tighten it down, and it keeps your keyboard from flopping around when forces are trying to move it around. But as far as articulating the keyboard, you know, you can adjust the angle of it. You can swing it in. It's actually stiff depending on how you tighten up everything. But yeah, it swings on in fine. If I'm just sitting here on YouTube, typing in comments or whatever, you know, it works good. Obviously, it's out of the way of my wheel even, but you know, I have a quick disconnect Fanatec wheel, so I could, you know, allow myself even more room around it. So, and obviously with a bigger wheel, this might get in the way, so you would want to remove your wheel. With Logitech or Thrustmaster, I don't know, don't have that wheel. But as far as how far you could swing it in. But anyway, mostly for sim racing, I just keep it off to the side anyway, and I'm hotkeying whatever I need over here to the left of me. Works great. They do have a mouse attachment that you can get, and they're actually coming out with like a button box attachment here. The mouse attachment here, it attaches right there to that bracket, the one that they currently have. Somewhere up here, I believe, is where it is. And that's actually in the way of the button boxes. So, actually it'd be in the way of my table, but as far as their monitor mount and stuff, you know, it works fine. But it's in the way, and I couldn't use it, so I didn't get it. They do have a button box mount that they're doing on theirs, as well as a mouse, you know, with a mouse pad there, which I think is going to work fine together. But I would like to see an option added maybe for people that aren't using their monitor mounts and stuff, to have their monitor mounted on there, or maybe people that use tables and stuff like I'm using, to have a mouse option down, a mount here, maybe coming off at the side of the rig here, because all it takes is 2 holes and a metal mount coming up with a tabletop, and then you could put your mouse on top and use it. That would be great to have. You could also dub that as a e-brake mounted as well if you wanted to, for people that want to have an e-brake down here instead of having it attached up here. And the other improvements I would have is for the keyboard over there, of course, like I already talked about, having it off to the left a little bit more so you don't bang your knee. And maybe add some butt kicker pre-drilled holes front and back here, as well as up there on that plate, that little angle plate, for people to have that option. I currently have my butt kickers mounted to this right here, and they work fine actually right there. All in all, Simetik rig is awesome. I'm really enjoying it. It's actually making sim racing even more fun because I am encountering forces that I haven't felt in ever, actually, because the old chassis was moving around so much on me. You know, the R-seat RS1 was pretty good in the beginning, but I really didn't know what I needed. I just knew it was an upgrade from the playseat that I had. And it was, because it didn't have the post in the middle. So, you know, I got the toe to gas option, you know, there, heel toe action going on, easier with it. And but I never was happy with the shifter mount because it moved around too much. I even had a come along on there, or a little tie down strap on there to keep my shifter from moving so much. So it was kind of a pity as far as that goes. Now this shifter mount is rock solid. Feels like you're sitting in a real car, nothing moving around on you. So really happy with that. The wheels transmitting the forces properly to me, which is awesome. It's a very compact setup. Cost is very fair for what you get. I can imagine they could charge even more. It'd be nice if they offer some seats, but I understand since they're, you know, this is overseas, shipping seats could get expensive, raising the cost of shipping a lot more than some people want to pay. But it'd be nice to have a turnkey option with some seats on there for people that are willing to pay it, that aren't maybe necessarily as handy with tools and having to mount their own setup, or sourcing setups for a seat mount plus a seat and rails to have adjustable and all that. So that would be a cool option to have from Simetik themselves, and I'm sure sometime in the future they'll probably do that. Other than that, yeah, that's it. Leave some comments below what you think about the rig. If you think it's going to be something for you, if you're already currently using a different rig, or you're happy with it, what are the pluses and minuses? Because, you know, every rig has their pluses and minuses to it, and everybody's different, you know, what they like or what they look for in a rig. And some people, even me in the past, didn't really know what I wanted in a rig. I just read about what other people complained about. I'm like, okay, I know I don't want that, but what else do I need? You know, through the 10 years plus of sim racing, I've understood that I need something a lot sturdier for just even the Fanatec wheels to be held in place and not having lost forces, you know, and have all the forces transmitted to me myself, much less going to something nowadays which direct drive wheels are a lot more accessible to people. Higher end pedal decks or pedals are more accessible to people now as well. So yeah, leave some comments below. Let me know what you think, and we'll catch you next time. Hope you enjoyed the review. Thumbs up if you did. I'm out.